off, right?
You're a hard driver if they're. I think my mic's on. This is on. Yep.
It's on.
All right.
Gonna gavel this rowdy room. All right, welcome to the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education regular meeting for November 13th, 2018. Phil Hood will be acting as our Secretary Pro Tem, but shall we go? We'll take attendance, please.
Susan Ryder, absent. Phil Hood.
Present.
Mark Berry.
Present.
Leon Charlo, absent. Julie Gottschall, absent. Richard Hegg.
Present.
John Rosen.
Present.
All right, we've got a quorum. We can begin. So you guys join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we offer the opportunity for public comment. Not seeing any. We offer the opportunity for board members to add an additional agenda item or discussion item. If anybody would like to do so after the meeting, feel free to email myself or Jean. Moving on, we have just one report from Mr. Khan, which is
On the
update
audit.
on the audit, right?
Just wanted to let you know that the final audit report is not complete yet. They're still waiting on TRS to issue their final audit report. And so we will present the final audit probably at the January meeting.
We're not in violation of doing anything by delaying this,
No,
right?
we've applied for an extension. The annual financial report, the governmental statements are done. This is just the audit report.
Okay.
Just like every other district too, because it
We're
impacted
all in the
all
same
of us.
boat.
Okay.
And maybe while Jay's up there, he can move on to his tax levy and the debt service. We'll combine both of those.
Okay, so yeah, item 7 on, is, for the discussion is a supplemental tax levy discussion. And this resolution will be on the December agenda for approval. It allows us to extend in taxes to pay the principal and interest on the working cash bonds issued against our debt service extension base. While this is not mandated to do each year, it's best practice, so we'd like to do this annually.
Okay, so I'll first just talk about the tax levy. We're here tonight because we're required to pass an estimated levy or a tentative levy 20 days prior to passage of the final levy. So I'll just be going through the recommendation. The December CPI was 2.1%, so that's what we'll be using in the calculation, and that's exactly the same as it was last year. We're expecting equalized assessed value of existing property to increase by 1.7%, which is about half of what it was last year. It was 3.2% last year. And then this is a regular assessment year. So the county applies a equalization factor to all the property to adjust it for EAV differences. The new property is $2.5 million, and that's somewhat in line, maybe a tad bit less than historical new property. And then this long-term projection, just the assumption in this projection is that we continue to levy the CPI increase every year. And so you can see that with moderate wage increase and benefit increase assumptions and about $300,000 of capital expenditures a year in our capital plan, if we hold our levy at the CPI level, then we keep our ending fund balance within pretty much flat and within our 30 to 50% target.
Just a quick question. Since every year, anyone looking at that chart who has any knowledge of how to read charts is going to say, gee, what's the big bump in those 2 years? Can't you subtract out the anomaly for those 2 years to so that we avoid having to explain what those are?
You mean like between the 6 and the 6.7 here, this bump over here?
Between 2015, 2016, our expenditures are way above our.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this is all funds. I could do just operating funds, and that would exclude
Because that's an anomaly
capital.
that doesn't occur. You can put an asterisk down there and explain that occurred, but otherwise it raises a lot of questions for people who don't understand why there's such a spike in those 2 years.
We can present only operating funds. if that makes more sense.
Yeah, to me it does. I don't know
Or
how the
you-
others feel.
Maybe you do it that way, and we also, on this one, put a square right where the two red big ones are and write out
Just to
why that
show.
is.
Yeah,
Capital
something like
spending.
that, just for the,
a
people
good
who
point.
don't understand.
It's a good point to help people understand, but I also, because we've already had it out there, being a transparency freak, and I get worried about
Well, you,
having something out there and then not having it out there.
That's why it might be better just to take this, Jay, and put a square with an explanation right next to it,
you can do that.
Sure.
instead of at the bottom, because then when people look at it, the answer's right there.
Yeah.
If you do that,
Capital
I would
spending.
suggest you normalize those 2 years and show where it would have been without those incremental.
Yeah, kind of like we do with the budget
Yeah,
presentation, where you can break it out.
Right.
Sure.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
too.
And then, so the recommendation is to ask for a CPI increase, to keep our fund balance in the desired range, and to grow our revenue and pace with inflation. As you know, we've got some uncertainty coming up, and this is, so we want to keep things stable. This will allow us to continue to address our facility needs over time, and will preserve our PTEL base for future levy recommendations. And then the final recommendation, this is what we shared again last time, no change. So we're expecting our EAV to increase 1.7% to $675 million, with $2.5 million of new property. So a 2.1% or CPI increase would give us an operating tax extension of $15.3 million. An additional $56 million would come from new property. And then we added another $34 million just for rounding into account and just to make sure we get all of the taxes on the new property.
34,000, just so people know.
Yeah, 34,000 on 15 million. So that's,
I thought you said 34
said
million.
34.
oh, did I say
million.
34 million? I'm sorry. 34,000. So yeah, small amount. So it would give us a total operating tax levy of 15.455 million, or an operating tax rate of 2.266 per $100 of assessed value. That's a total 2.7% increase for operating taxes. Our debt service extension will, by schedule, go up by 1.3% to $2.2 million for a total tax extension of $17.6 million next year, which is a net 2.5% increase, and a tax rate of 2.55.
So the bottom line is, do we have any questions on the actual levy recommendation this evening?
Well, the tax rate, shouldn't that be a negative 0.2%? Down from 258 to 255?
Yeah,
And the other numbers are all positive, so
right.
just put a couple brackets around that.
So the overall extension represents a 2.5% increase from last year,
Correct.
Yeah, into two.
including our debt, that includes our debt service overall. Yep.
And you'll be voting on that shortly, but while we've got this up, I'm gonna have Jay explain the supplemental debt service levy.
Yes, this is something we did last year, and as I have said, for our debt service, the county just automatically levies what it takes to pay the principal and interest, or the debt service payment on our debt service for bonds where we've issued them with a complete schedule. But the way we issued our building bonds for the middle school, we issued them against our debt service extension base. So that was a fixed number, so we were only allowed to levy the debt service extension base every year, but that goes up by CPI every year, so they don't know what it is. So we basically have to pass a resolution annually to tell them what the CPI is and to give us the authority to levy it, up to the CPI increase, so that we can levy enough to pay for our interest and principal on the debt.
That gets complicated, huh?
Yeah, another, we issued the debt assuming that some CPI, so the debt service payments increase annually, but we can't levy for the full payment if we don't increase the debt service extension base by resolution.
Not that there's any opportunity since bond rates are going up, but do we have any outstanding bonds that will be out there for potential refinancing?
We have refinanced them all, and we actually did it at the right time because, as
Yeah.
you say, bond rates are going up and we would have missed out if we not done it.
You did it at
previously.
the right time, and it's all even out.
Right,
That
yeah,
took
you can see that.
a couple years and a lot of work on all of your parts on
Increase,
that.
the
In
so.
fact, December is our last payment on the 2008 bonds that were from the elementary school. The rest have been refinanced. So we'll have one debt service issue go away after December.
Cool.
Any questions on that for the discussion?
All right, so we'll move on to
We're
action
ready
items.
for action items. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, sir. Our first action item is the approval of the tentative tax levy. Let me read a little something that goes along with that. This process of setting a levy is completed annually and must be approved by a school board prior to the last Tuesday of December. Levies are tentatively approved the month before to allow time for public notice. The term property tax cycle includes the entire annual process of the board adopting a property tax levy, submitting that levy number to the county clerk, and receiving the distribution of property taxes from the county treasurer. The cycle can be easily compared to the seasons in a year. In the winter, December, property tax levy is approved. In the spring, by June, county clerks process the billing statements for the property owners. In the summer, the county treasurer distributes the property taxes collected from the first installment payment. In the fall, the second installment payment is distributed, and the cycle begins again. Any questions or discussions or comments on that? So I have a motion to approve the 2018 tentative levy.
So moved.
Roll call vote, Ms. Go?
Morozen,
Yes.
Heg,
Yes.
Hood,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes. The motion is approved. Item B is the approval of the annual statement of affairs. School code requires that school districts must complete the annual statement of affairs and publish in the local newspaper all salary schedules and vendor contracts over $2,500. School districts and joint agreements are also required to submit the completed electronic form to the Illinois State Board of Education, excluding payments of $500 to $990. The ASA must be published in the local newspaper no later than December 1st annually and submitted to ISBE electronically no later than December 15th annually. The ISBE will publish the ASA on the ISBE website by January 15th of the following year. Anything you want to add to that, Jay? We do this every year, right? Anybody else have questions or comments or concerns about that? Anybody? May I have a motion to approve the 2017-2018 annual statement of affairs?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Heg,
Yes.
Hood,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Morozen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Item 8C is the approval of school and district report card. The district report card must be approved by the board on an annual basis. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? The administration want to add anything to that?
No, we'll be spending a lot more time on the district report cards and our comps and our student achievement at the next meeting.
I have a motion to approve the 2018 school and district report cards.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is approved. Item 8D is the personnel report. 2 names on that report this month. We have a non-licensed retirement for Vicky Beschel, a technology specialist in the district office, effective December 3rd of 2018. And a licensed resignation of Robin O'Connor, a dramatic art teacher at the elementary school, effective November 29th of 2018.
And I do want to add that Robin is resigning. She has to. She was on the ballot for Lake County Clerk, and she won. So she's taking over her responsibilities December 1st.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. So I have a motion, may I have a motion to approve the personnel report for November 13th, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Heg,
Yes.
Hood,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Morozen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Item E, the consent agenda contains the usual minutes and financial reports. Also included in tonight's agenda is approval of a resolution for a 2-day unpaid suspension for Kathy Sheffer, with our attorney said that should be put in that agenda. So tonight's agenda includes open session meeting minutes for October 23rd, 2018, closed session meeting minutes for October 9th and October 23rd, the treasurer's report, the impress report, the bills report, the P-card report, and a resolution authorizing the suspension of teacher Kathy Sheffer without pay. Any questions? Anybody want to pull anything out of that to be discussed separately? So, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for November 13th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Hood,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Morozen,
Yes.
Heg.
Motion's approved. Didn't have any, item 9 was freedom of information request. We didn't have any. If there's anybody who'd like to address the board of public comment, please do. Not seeing any. Any other comments from the board? Administration? So may I have a motion to adjourn at 7:18?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Smooth.